All right. So a lot of you know me already, or know my sister. I think about half of the class actually came from my sister Sarah, TL, who's a pretty well-known blogger. I think. I think she's definitely more popular than me. But whether you came here because you know me or because you know my sister or my friends or colleagues, again, welcome to the class. But um, you can skip this and just go and learn how to code, and you will see me and hear my voice all over. But sometimes it's nice to know a little bit about who you're being taught from, right? Who the teacher is. So I wanted to take some time to introduce myself. So um, I'm I'm Korean. I was born in Provo, Utah. My dad used to be a professor at Brigham Young University. My dad loves BYU. He passed away a few years ago. But anyway, yeah, so I was born in Utah. When I was 7 years old, my family moved to Korea. And in that process, I completely forgot English. I had to pick up Korean, and it was really hard. Later, when I was 14, my family moved back to Utah. So I spent my time, high school in Utah. I went to Brigham Young University. Um, I then went to school in California, Caltech, started a few companies, and then also just a few years ago went to Stanford to study business. So I've done that. And I've also started a few other companies after that too. Well, a few different projects and a company called Data Compass after that. But anyway, I'm trying to be a serial entrepreneur, whether that means I'm a successful, that's a whole different matter. But also in that process, before I went to Stanford, I started a school called Coding Dojo. And you may have seen some of the ads. Sorry if you get bombarded with so many ads. But Coding Dojo is a school that I founded back in 2011. So we've been operational about 10 years. I started it, ran it as a CEO, and then I stepped down about 2 years ago. It's a long story why I stepped down, but it gave me a good opportunity to start a new venture. And also now I can, teach like this at an informal setting without worrying about Coding Dojo. I'm still the majority owner of Coding Dojo, and I care about it, but I don't run the day-to-day operations of Coding Dojo anymore. So that's a little bit about me. Now, some of the coding background. I've started coding since I was 11, 12 years old, back in Korea. And I had a friend who was really, really smart, and he's still smart. Um, but back then, he taught me how to do computer programming. Well, he didn't really sit down and through classroom. He basically gave me some of the codes and say, study this and teach yourself. So that's how I learned programming. I'll put some link down below if you want to read more about my story. It's quite long, but if you want, you can read it. But at a high level, that's how I got into computer programming. It took me some time for me to really, really get good. I think it took me about a year or 2 years before I could come to the point where I could create anything I could think of. Before that, I would struggle. I would think of something, write some code, it wouldn't quite work. It took some time for my brain to be rewired. So my goal through this class is for you to get your brain rewired a lot faster than it took me. So Coding Dojo, I did a lot of experiments and I cracked, I think, some of the ways to accelerate that learning. But anyway, I had that when I was 11, 12. And eventually I came to America back later when I was 14, continued to program and took some computer science courses at BYU. It wasn't that hard because I already spent thousands of hours struggling on my own back when I was a kid and done a few startups since then. So now I have a team of engineers. I don't code as much as I used to, but I can still code really well. So I'm gonna um, share some of that, and I'll put some. If you haven't seen it already, I'll put some pictures of some of the games that I created as well, so that this is all games I created back when I was 12 years old. And in class, we're gonna recreate some of those games to help you visualize algorithm. Okay, and I'll share more information when that time comes. But a lot of you mentioned that you wanted to learn how to create games. Well, you're gonna learn some of that in this class. Okay, so that's a little bit about me. Oh, also I do have 5 kids, and um, sometimes you may hear them on the background. Well, and that's just how it is. And if you have kids yourself, you will know how it's like. So excuse me if there are some noises in the background. I hope you don't mind. Okay? All right. So that's a little bit about me. Okay, now let's go and study coding.